This is Scott Becker with the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. We try each day to teach and entertain some, to come to you with business and private equity episodes, generally really short episodes that you can get your hands on in a hurry, check off your list, learn a little something, and hopefully be entertained a little bit, and so forth. So today's discussion is on family-owned businesses in the next generation and what we're going to see going forward. So here's what's happening with family-owned businesses. Back in the day, you saw a ton of family-owned businesses that went on for multiple generations, a first generation, then a second generation, then a third generation, and they seem to keep on going on. And one of the things that's happened, and this comes up, and is such an important topic today, is that you've got this whole set of family-owned businesses that are owned by people in their 50s, 60s, and 70s that have to decide, are they turning the business over to their children or relatives and continuing to move forward, or are they selling it? And I think what's happened is, over the last couple of decades, there's been so much opportunity to sell these things for crazy money to private equity-driven companies and private equity funds, financial sponsors, that the sort of the longevity of family-owned businesses, my guess, is shortening by a significant degree. And it's not so much that the parents don't trust their kids to run the business, but it's more that it's a de-risking type of thing. There's so much money being shown to some of these family-owned businesses that it's very hard to choose just to stay the course and turn it to the second, third, or fourth generation. It's almost like this old concept of one in the hands or two in the bush. And when private equity, and sometimes strategics, but really private equity, shows so much money, it's almost like that, the old movie, Show Me the Money. There's so much money shown to these family-owned businesses that's very hard to continue on. Whether you look at companies like Medline, that's been a family-owned business for, I think, 4 or 5 generations, maybe 3 or 4, but then sold to Blackstone for $30+ billion. Very hard to not make the choice to take some of that money off the table and move on. Those are real dollars. And having this discussion with a couple of colleagues the other day, one a private equity leader, about the avalanche of transactions they're expecting over the next 10 years from family-owned businesses that don't see themselves having better options, keeping the business versus selling it, to a discussion with really close colleagues talking about should they bring their kids into their business or not. And I think what's really happened here is, one, you've got an avalanche of businesses that's going to come up for sale in the next 5 to 10 years, a lot of wealth transfer, but also, two, just so much uncertainty about the future of business and the speed of business, the velocity of business, that it makes it much more attractive to take dollars off the table and go ahead with the next deal and do the deal than it does to turn it over to your children. And that is what it is. And it's a very challenging situation, because many of us would like to turn our businesses over to our children, but there's so much money and potential options that it's hard to make that a smart, rational choice, even though it might be the emotional choice that you want to have a family-owned business ever. I think this whole discussion of family-owned businesses and what's going to happen over the next decade is a fascinating discussion. Would love to have more perspectives on this. Always feel free to reach Scott Becker at 773-766-5322, and love to have your perspectives on what's going to happen with family-owned businesses going forward. We'll hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for listening to the Becker Private Equity and Business Podcast. Thank you very, very much.